Hello everyone, welcome back to another lesson. And this lesson is going to be the last one for our current section. And I'm going to talk to you about more in-depth parsing. So we're going to see how we can parse different types of logs. And let's go ahead and open up our DSM editor, select our custom log source type. So let's go ahead and begin with a simple example of a JSON log, right? So let's add a custom property, right? And for example, I want to parse, say, account name. Okay, I'm going to select account name. And if you want to select a property that you can't find here, you can apply a filter, a search for it. You can create your new custom property, right? You can give it a name, a field type, if it's a text or a number, IP address, port, or date. And if you want that property to be able to be used in rules and reports, you have to tick that box here, okay? So make sure you pay attention to that. But for our example's sake, I'm going to stick with account name. And I'm going to select it. And let me type in a sample JSON log that I found. And let's change our parsing from regex to JSON, right? And JSON is also a very good expression type because it's easier than regex. And as you can see, I have a bug here that it's giving me, for some reason, 7 lines, right? So it's because I'm using a event delimiter of \n. So QRadar treats each new line as a different log. So we just have to override it and type in \t, and it changes back to 1 line as it should be. So JSON parsing is very simple. I would have to, it gives you an example here, which is very good, to do a /, and then QRadar editor is telling me which values I can automatically extract. So let's go ahead and select user ID. We have to do a quote, user_ID, and close quote. And now the orange color indicates that this is the values that is being parsed, which is correct. So if I click on OK, I can see in the preview that the account name is being parsed correctly, right? However, sometimes I can parse both JSON and regex under the same custom property, right? For example, if sometimes it comes as a JSON, sometimes it comes in a different type of format. For whatever reason, you can click here to add the new parsing, and it goes by order, right? You can drag it down. So I want the JSON parsing to be first, but if for whatever reason the JSON is not going to parse, I can type in my regex expression here, right? Yeah, I kind of forgot how to limit, how to match until a certain character, but you can see that it's matching the username and the quotes here. So yeah, again, for regex, I use Google for like 99% of the time. Stack Overflow has all the answers, and you'd have to mention your capture group, which is 1 in our case. And then I'd hit OK. And then for whatever reason, if the JSON parsing is not going to parse correctly, then the regex one would kick in. And as we can see, it says that parsing failed. Now, why is that? The reason is because we didn't specify event ID and event category, right? So it cannot map from the event mappings anything to match that combination, right? So just as an example, right? If I were to go ahead to event category and I would override system behavior because this is a custom log source type, so it doesn't know how to parse category and ID, I would choose JSON and I would make it so that the event category, for example, let's choose level, and my event ID, I would set it to request ID. Now it says parsed but not mapped because it manages to get the category and the event ID, but it cannot assign it to any event because the mapping doesn't exist. So let's go ahead to event mapping and create a new event type. As you can see, Curator helps us by giving us the event category and event ID as a sample, and we can go ahead and choose. So for this combination, specific combination, let's use our test event from our previous video. And now it's also parsed and it's also mapped. So it manages to identify now the event category and the event ID, and that specific combination is being mapped to my test event, right? So when you're dealing with a custom log source type, you would have to do that process manually for each event type you have, which can get quite tedious. Unfortunately, there's no way around it. So you would start ingesting your logs, and then you'd have to define your parsing to tell it how to identify your event category and event ID. And once you found a good properties to use for those two, you can start mapping the different kinds of combinations to their own QIDs records. And then your log source, your custom log source can actually start producing some value. So this has been it for this video, guys. And again, like I said, this is the last video for this section. And in the next one, it's a short section of 2 videos. We're going to see how to configure geolocation and how to configure X-Force integration with QRadar. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.